Meet Chris Steffe. He was a tradie in Australia living the classic Monday to Friday grind and partying every weekend. But deep down, he knew that there had to be more. So he booked his tickets overseas and never looked back. From working ski seasons in Europe to selling products online, travel became the circuit breaker that changed everything. Today, Chris runs an Amazon FBA brand. He's done over $6.5 million in sales and lives in Bali, completely on his own terms. In this episode, we unpack how he made the leap, what it takes to break free, and how you can build a business that gives you real freedom. All right, Chris.
Let's get into it.
Yeah. Can you explain to me what it's like being a tradie in Australia?
Well, to be fair, I was never going to be a tradie when I started. I went straight out of high school and I was going to be a teacher, but then I gave it a year off and I was like, all right, I'll just start doing plumbing for a bit. And as soon as I started getting that paycheck and I was like, all right, well, all my mates are studying. I'm getting paid and I get Friday, Saturday off. The weekend, do whatever I want. I was like, I don't want to go back to the school system. I don't want to be a teacher anymore, even though teaching get holidays. But in my mind, I was like, I couldn't be bothered to study anymore. So yeah, tradie route was for me was the ideal thing. I was like, I always loved working with my hands, and then being an Aussie tradie, there's definitely a stigma. And I guess I see people walking around Bali. I see people working back in Australia, and it brings back memories. It is it is a bit laddish. It's definitely a bit laddish. You work hard Monday to Friday and you reward yourself on the weekend. And normally the reward is partying with the mates that you work with.
Yeah.
That's very common in Australia. And that's literally what I did for probably the first 6 to 7 years of my life as a tradie. I'd literally Monday to Friday, work hard, go out on the weekend, party, play sport or whatever, party, do whatever, be feeling worse for wear on the Monday and do it all again. And that being said, I still trained hard at the gym. I never changed my exercise. I was always into my fitness, but it was a tradie in Australia. There is definitely a mentality to it, and it's not all iced coffees and meat pies, but it is definitely you work hard and you reward yourself and you spend the money that you earn and you get paid pretty well. So it's not a bad career in Australia.
Yeah, realistically, I was a tradie as well, so similar thing. I didn't really like school or anything like that. Left. I was a boilermaker for 6 or 8 months. I did that every Wednesday when you went to
TAFE.
The TAFE thing.
Was that during high school?
Yeah, so every Wednesday I went to a workplace.
Pre-voc or something.
I can't remember what it was, but it was just I did school 4 days a week and 1 day a week I was a boilermaker, and then at the end of the year they didn't have a job for me because it was their quiet season. So I was just I saw in the school newsletter, they were advertising for a diesel mechanic. I didn't want to be a diesel mechanic or anything. I was just I don't want to be at school. So
it's interesting how that ends up.
So yeah, it's just one of those things, I think, where it's probably more so if you grew up in a regional type of area or something like that. But
I guess for me, I never. People think always say what did you dream of as a kid? I never really had
I'm going to be an astronaut.
I didn't have that. I've always wanted to play sport. I played lacrosse, but lacrosse wasn't a big sport in Australia. So I was always I want to be good at lacrosse.
Yeah.
And I was good as a kid. I was okay. I was playing the state stuff, but I wasn't anything special. But then thinking career-wise, I wanted to be a carpenter. I was I like working with wood. And I was maybe I'm a carpenter. And then what got me into plumbing was that my stepdad at the time, his best friend was a plumber. And he used to teach at TAFE in South Australia. He was a TAFE teacher, ex-plumber, so he was an older guy and was teaching there. And I had this gap year planned out. I wanted to go travel Europe, 18, straight out of school. I never left Australia. I'd been to Thailand once, and that was straight after high school. And I wanted to go travel. And my uncle sat me down or called me, and he was I think you should just either go to uni or do TAFE or go do plumbing, get a trade, do that for 4 years, then go travel. And that was really smart because being able to do what I've done now and travel. Plumbing was a stepping stone. If I didn't have that trade, I wouldn't have been able to work in the French Alps and do the cool stuff I did because I worked as a plumber there.
Yeah, right.
So I really appreciated doing that. And I always think now that even if you don't go to university or trade or get a trade, if you get some sort of job or career behind you before you start traveling, it just opens up so many more opportunities because you're not just fresh faced.
Yeah.
You got a skill set. Just get a skill set first. Doesn't have to be a trade, just a skill set that pays you so you can then go use that elsewhere.
Yeah. Do you think some people get a little bit stuck or forced into it? I know my old man was get a job, which is good. I've never been without a job or anything. Even when I chopped and changed jobs or whatever, I never left a job
Yeah.
without having another thing in place. I think that's another like
work ethic.
Yeah, a bit of
built ingrained from the family though.
Yeah, exactly. I think
I was the same. Single mom, like she was always working. She told me to get a job at like 15. I never really got pocket money. It was like, you go get a job now. Like I never was out of, didn't need money. Like we always looked after each other.
Yeah.
But it was like, go get a job and then you can buy whatever you want. So like that's your savings. Like we're not going to buy it for you. If you want a nice car when you turn 18, go work for it.
Yeah, that was the same as me. It was
like,
well.
earn your money.
Yeah, exactly. I was more so going down the path of like, do you think it's potentially detrimental to have someone being like
push you into it?
Yeah, like white picket fence Australian
100%.
dream type of thing.
100%.
Because if we'll move into this a little bit later, but if you get stuck in that cycle of like you said, 7 or 8 years that you did the whole like Monday, Friday to Sunday was at the pub type of thing, and then back on Monday you can get stuck in that
5
cycle.
years, and then I went traveling through it and came back and did it for like probably a further 2 years. Yeah, almost 7 or 8 years.
Yeah,
and I agree with you 100%. Like what you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah,
like I learned everything I knew up to that period from my mum and my stepdad. So my stepdad worked in the mines as well, but he was a boilermaker actually.
Yeah,
and so he came along in my life at like the age of like 10 or 11, and then he was with us till I was like probably around the 23, 24, just before when I went traveling Europe, 24 years old. But yeah, like I grew up with mum's mentality of like, you got to work and you got to save money because she's a single mum. So it's like working harder as a nurse. She worked long hours to make sure that we could live and have rent a place and go to school and all that sort of stuff and have all the Christmas presents or food on the table. Yeah. But it was like you had to work hard and then you had to save. Yeah. So it was work hard and save, which is very different to how I look at life now. And that's definitely the white picket fence. It's like, get a job, save up, buy a house, happy days.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it.
Like work till you're 60.
That was the circle. Yeah, that was the circle. And even now, like mum's like, I'm trying to get mum out of this sort of brainwashing that she's been sold for many years, and she's older and she's only retiring probably 6-7 years. And I'm even trying now to push her to invest money and move stuff around to give her more freedom as she gets older. And it's just very true.
Yeah. And like, my parents are the same. My parents are like in their 60s and never been overseas. Both of them never been overseas.
That's wild.
Like
I've met people like that, and I'm like, how?
Yeah.
Some people, I've met someone who never left the state in Australia.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Yeah. Like I didn't travel until I was 30. Like and I'm not sure if that's because I grew up in a regional country town, and then
it's not as common.
Well, it's just not as common because it's like, it was a 3-hour drive to get to the nearest airport, and then that was a day trip in itself almost. And then
that's your holiday.
The thought of going overseas as well, it's just like, fuck, it's going to take me a week to get there. So just camping and fishing and ball driving and drinking beers and stuff was just easier.
It's the norm as well.
Yeah, and it was just it's just what everyone did. So you just did it, if that makes sense. So
it's hard to break out of that cycle. I've got a friend that came from the country as well, who's in the e-com space now.
Yeah.
And he's the same. Like he goes back home and sees his friends, but he's living a completely different world. Like they're all there working the farm.
Yeah.
And he's there like working from his laptop.
Yeah.
Like, just completely different mentality these days.
Yeah. And I think it's so hard to break out of that. Like, I don't know what it was for me, but I just kind of like didn't really know. I wasn't sure where I stood with like a few people and stuff like that. And then I was like, if I move, is it going to help me, or like change the scenery, all that type of stuff. And then like, I'm so glad that I got out.
Definitely does.
Like, just to like changes as good as a holiday type of thing. Yeah. Like, I moved from Horsham to Hamilton to Geelong, and then Geelong to Mornington and stuff. And each time I moved and like met new people and learnt new things, like it just broadens your horizons 100%. so much instead of just being in the trenches all day type of thing.
Travel is what I think is the number one thing anyone should do if they want to change who they are, or if they want to like grow as a person.
Yeah.
Because you need life experiences.
Yeah, for sure.
Like until I left plumbing, I went away. I was actually about to buy a house. So I was about to buy a house, and then I actually lost my license for DUI like the night after a big night. I just drove in to pick up my girlfriend, just over limits. So I wasn't drink driving. It was the after effects. I'd had a big night, didn't give my time, didn't eat, stupid, got done for like, it's just basic story. But anyway, so move on like a year later, I got my license back, went back to work for a couple of years, and I was about to buy a house again because the first house fell through. So I still had all this money. I'd saved up like 60K at the age of like 22 to buy my first house.
Yeah.
Living the dream, everything was good. And then my partner at the time, she was a bit younger and she did a gap year in Europe. And I was like, well, she's done all this. And I haven't left Australia other than like one trip to Thailand. I haven't experienced anything. Like I'm families from England. So I got family in England, all this sort of stuff. And I was like, I need to go do that.
Yeah.
And then that was what was the breaker for me. That's what broke up how I was living, the 9 to 5 sort of general tradie Aussie bloke, by seeing and experiencing the rest of the world. Like it literally flicked the switch.
Yeah.
It was a circuit breaker. That's what I was doing. It was a circuit breaker of what changed. It was the starting. I didn't actually change very much straight away, but it was the starting point of when things started to change in how I acted and like what career I wanted to go down.
Yeah, right. I was legitimately just about to ask you that question. So that, when you started talking, I was just like, oh, this is perfect. But like my experience was much later, and I only realised that at 30. And I was what I was just about to ask you was that little break of travel that you took, because you said you did 5 years, travelled a little bit, and then come back for another couple of years.
So that was like the start. So it was meant to just be a 3-month holiday in Europe. Like I booked it on the fly. I went home. I told my girlfriend we were together for like 3 years, and I actually thought she was like the one at that stage. And I was like, look, I need to get Europe out of my system. I'm going. And it wasn't like the best of terms, but she realized, like, she's like, okay, she was about to start uni. She knew that she was locked in for 4 years. She knew I needed to go, or she was maybe in uni already. So like I went to Europe, meant to be 3 months, and then we ended up like breaking up. She came to visit, and we ended up breaking up in Europe. The standard thing, like going traveling. I ended up being like living like this single life, even though I was still in a relationship. And it just like, I wanted to kind of continue my growth.
Yeah.
And she had to go back. She had no option. She was in university, first year university. So like I finished my plumbing. I had my master's certified. I had the ability to work for myself. I had gas license, all my tickets. When I actually lost my license, I did all the extra study to make myself better. So that was also a bit of a kick. Like losing my license was like, what are you doing, idiot? Do extra. So I was coasting, and then I became better and became a better plumber. And I was like highly rated as a plumber at that stage. And then I went to travel. Now's my time to travel.
Yeah.
3 months ended up being 2 years.
Yeah, that's a long time.
I stayed in Europe for 2 years.
Wow. How did you?
That's when I really started to change.
Yeah, right. How did you end up? What made you stay for 2 years? What held you there?
It was experiences, I think. It was like I was just learning so much. So the first 3 months was more like, hopping around on a bus, doing all the stuff that Australians do when they go to Europe, go to Spain, go to all the party areas, do the tomato festival, like all the stuff you do when you go to, like what you do as a young Aussie. A lot of drinking, a lot of partying, a lot of fun. But then obviously when I broke up with my girlfriend at the time, we were in the UK we were in Italy. She went back to Australia. I was in the UK visiting some friends, and I just felt like I didn't want to go back to Australia yet. Maybe I didn't want to deal with that breakup as well. Maybe I wanted to stay a little bit longer. And I ended up actually waking up after a few beers with a friend, and I changed my ticket. I postponed it to just before Christmas. Yeah. So I went from like going back in September to October, November, coming back just before Christmas. So I extended my stay for 3 months. I had like $400 in my bank account. And I was like, okay, well, Steffe, I'm just going to stay here. Like I've got family I can stay with for a bit. I'll try to get an apartment in London. I'll just get a job in London. I was like, I might as well just enjoy this. This is my time to like grow, experience new things. I've just gone through a breakup. Like maybe we'll get back to that. I don't know. But like I'm here. Why go back? So I was like, I just got a job. So I went and got a job as a bartender. Never worked in a bar before. Said I did. Got a job in a bartender. Learned something new. I could have been a plumber, but I just wanted to give plumbing a break. I'd been plumbing for 6-7 years. So did that. And then that led me to meeting new people. And I met this other friend whose boyfriend was working in the ski fields in France. Nice. And I was like, what does he do? And he's like, oh, he's a DJ, but he's working in a ski shop. And I was like, well, I'm a plumber. Surely I can get a job. Yeah. And I managed getting a job as a maintenance guy. And that like opened my world to seasonal work and like working away in like winter season, summer seasons. And that winter season led to a summer season in Greece. And I was just like, okay, well, I'm learning. I'd never been snowboarding before. I'm learning how to snowboard. Then I went to Greece, was windsurfing, like working on power boats, like just doing all this cool stuff, like really great experiences, getting paid for it, not getting paid well, like getting paid biscuits. But it didn't matter because I had money in the bank and it was just sitting there and I'd refused to touch my savings. Yeah. I had my money, I had like 30K, 40K just sitting there and I just lived off of like the general salary. Yeah, nice. Of like whatever, it's £400 a month in the snow, everything paid for in Greece. I was getting paid like 25 euros a day for 8 hours. Yeah. So like bare minimum, but it was experiences. I was just living and doing experiences. And that was that's when you really started, I feel like really started changing. That's why I stayed for so long. I didn't want to go home. Yeah. And then I was like, shit, I need to go home. And it was actually my friend, I spoke to him today. I was going to buy a house with him. I had the money there. So I was like, let's buy a house and renovate together. And he called me and he's like, oh, one of our other good friends wants to buy one with me now. Are you coming back? I've been waiting for a year.
Yeah, right.
You coming back? I was like, all right. Came back. We went 3 ways and we ended up doing a massive reno for 2 years. So that's what took me back to Australia. And that's why I was there for 2 years.
Right. And then were you plumbing again as well?
Went back to plumbing.
Yeah.
Went back to my old habits. Went back to my old ways, old friendship groups, same old. And that's when I was like, nah, I got to get out of here.
Yeah. So you just had an epiphany.
I'd had so much fun. And I was like, I'd changed so much over 2 years of being in Europe and being on my own and doing different trades and just communicating and seeing cool places and just, meeting interesting people, meeting people that were working off their laptop, all these sparks going. And I went back to plumbing, same old stuff, working with the boys, loved it. Went back to my old company that I used to work for, but nothing really changed. Like, I'm building a house, but I was just the same person again. And I hated it.
Yeah.
Like, I was having fun, but I hated it. I needed to get out of there.
Yeah, for sure. I have like a little bit of a similar experience as well. Before, when I was trying to join the Navy, I was like living in Geelong and I was trying to join the Navy. And then like a week before I was meant to join, they knocked me back.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, the back injury from way back when is like, means you're no good type of thing. So I spent, I think it was like 18 months or nearly 2 years, trying to, like, I fought it and went, like, I appealed it and I was like, no, I want to join. And then I needed a job right away because I'd quit my job and everything. I was like, oh, I'm going to the Navy next week type of thing. And then I just messaged my mate and I was like, hey, is there any jobs with like where you work? And they're like, yeah, we'll sort you out. And I was like, okay, cool. So I just moved, and it was back in my hometown.
Yeah.
So I moved back to Horsham, which is like 3 hours away, middle of nowhere, and literally like same thing. Like,
and it's easy to fall back in there because I think also one thing I learned, and I didn't know this at the time, but I had so many amazing experiences and met so many cool people doing the same thing. So you're going around Europe, everyone's traveling, everyone's got stories, and you're telling each other stories and you're like excited to hear other people's stories. You go back home and you quickly realize that no one cares about what you've just done. Because they're doing the same old shit.
Yeah.
So like you start telling them like something reminds you of a story that happened in Greece or whatever. And you're like, oh, I got this school. And I got to the point where people were like, dude, stop talking about Europe. Or like, stop talking about... And I was like, this will be my last for 2 years. And no one is interested because it's not that they weren't interested, but they're like, I think there was maybe not jealousy, but it's like they're just used to doing the same stuff that they don't want to hear how good you are. And maybe they do. And even though they're good friends, they're just like... I remember those. So you stop doing that and then you just end up going back to your old stuff.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, okay, well, I want to fit in again. And you go back to habits that would make you fit in with your friends.
Yeah.
Because they're your friends and they think you think they're the long-term friends and you're like, okay, this is safe. This is what they want me to be. I go back to my old ways again.
Yeah, and that's like another thing for me as well. Like I quickly realized that friends outgrow each other. Like it's a cycle. I think it's something like if you're friends with someone for more than 7 years or something, it's likely that you're going to have a long lasting friendship. Yeah. But as you get older as well, and like you start to do stuff, it all just kind of tapers off. And
school doesn't count.
No,
I think because you're stuck there for 7 years.
Yeah.
So I used to think that.
Yeah.
Oh, I was at school for so many people. It doesn't mean they're long-term friends.
No.
You had to go to school. The same school every day.
Yeah. The ones that you make outside of school
100%.
Are definitely the ones that stick around and stay. But so after realizing all that, you've gone back, you've done everything. What was the next step in the journey for you? Because you're in Amazon FBA now. Yeah. What was a turning point for you again? Was it just that epiphany and that realization that you're like, shit, I can't do this anymore? Or
yeah, so it was more so that what traveling taught me was that I like to move around. I liked new experiences and I like to see different countries. And when I went back to plumbing, although I got a plumbing job / like it was a maintenance job in France, it was very hard to use my skill set to actually get other jobs in other countries without speaking the language.
Yeah.
So I was very location dependent with my job. And so after the first stint away, I came back, built the house, decided I need to get back out, mainly because I wanted to break bad habits again. And I wanted just to go back overseas and go back to the ski fields. I love the ski fields, love the Greece. I wanted to go back there and just work and be free and have that freedom to work wherever I wanted in a beautiful environment. I was wearing board shorts every day to work. That was my job. Or like I was snowboarding every day. Like that's like people dream of that. Where people were holidaying was my job for like the next year and a half.
Yeah.
And I did that, and I did back-to-back ski seasons, and that was great, but I wasn't making any money. Like I was just living as a ski bum so I wasn't making money, and I was like, okay, well, this isn't really working. And I was starting to see more and more, especially during my like time when I was traveling between seasons. I'd go and explore the rest of Europe, Eastern Europe, wherever. I was starting to meet more and more people that were working from their laptop. Whatever it was, e-commerce, I wasn't really into it. I always thought I wasn't smart enough for that. I was never technologically advanced.
Yeah.
I didn't even own a laptop at the time. I was just like living off my phone. Like technology wasn't my thing. And people that ever speak about, like they will laugh when they used to think that I never used to be involved in technology at all. And that's what I make my business off of. But yeah, so that was all happening. And it was, I guess, starting to be ingrained in my mind. Like there's other ways of making money. You don't have to
just
work
constantly
plumbing.
seeing
Constantly
it all.
constantly seeing successful people doing that. Like I wasn't even into self-development or anything back then either. I was just living my life. I was living my life in a way that like, what makes me happy, do that.
Yeah.
And at that time it was like being free, traveling the world and having experiences. And,
That's so sick though.
Yeah, and that was great. But it wasn't financially making.
Yeah, true.
And then obviously I met my wife, Veronica, and she was kind of the next. I think there's like periods in my life. Like there was getting out of plumbing and traveling the world, which was like one period. That was the first stage of me like changing who I was. And then there was meeting my wife, Veronica, and I remember this conversation. We were in Greece and we met doing a season. We got together very quickly. Then she wanted to stay in Europe. So we went and did a Greek season in Greece. And I'd already been there. So I took her to my old working on the beach. And I remember having dinner with her. And she asked me this question. She's like, what do you want to achieve in the future? What do you want to do? Do you have any goals? And I had like literally nothing. I was literally just living this seasonal lifestyle, loving it, so happy, but I had no motivation again. Like, I mean, when I was coasting as a plumber before I lost my license and I worked hard to get my extra degrees or whatever in plumbing, I was coasting then. And then I was coasting again in this part of my life. I was just happy getting my wage. I had my house, like paying off mortgage, whatever, but I was just coasting. And she questioned me like, what do you want to achieve? What are your goals? How do you get to the next step? And I didn't have an answer for it. And I thought if I want to maintain this relationship, I need to be able to grow with her. And then strangely enough, her brother, Eric, was into e-commerce and he just started Amazon. And he was a PE teacher. He was like, I think he must have been like 23 at the time. And he just started his first Amazon business, Amazon FBA, selling in the US. And he went all in on it. And I got to see her brother working on this business. And then when we came back from doing our second season together, he just started dabbling with Shopify on the side of Amazon. And he had a course that he could do. And he was like, do you want to do this as well? And I thought, okay, well, if my wife or my girlfriend at the time is doing this and her brother's doing this, and what am I going to do? Just sit there and do nothing? I was like, how can I have these conversations with them, join in and be part of the family and grow with them if I don't have the same knowledge what they're doing? So I was like, okay, I'm just going to start a dropshipping store.
Yeah,
and that was my first like ever entry into e-commerce.
Yeah,
we all started our own dropshipping stores. I had one, Veronica had one, Eric had one.
Yeah, cool.
We're all doing our own different things. And that was the first time I ever made sales online. And I went back and still did another season in the Alps.
Yeah.
But it was like, that was the entry, like selling products online. I just learned and I was like, okay, this is cool. I went and bought a laptop and I was like, this is cool. I remember first launching my store and I had that ding. And I was like, I can do this.
Yeah, nice.
And I was so green. Like there was so much to learn. But that was like, okay, Eric was making money. I started making money. And I was like, this is something I can do. I can do this on the side and I can learn a new skill set. And this can help me get me to be able to travel without having to work for someone. That was the goal. That was my new goal. When Veronica asked me, what's your goal? I wanted to make more money so I could travel freely and not have to work for other people. Not have to speak the language. I could work from whenever I wanted because I had my own business that was paying me.
Yeah, that's absolutely perfect. And so what year was that?
That would have been, so I'm coming up now just over 5 years in Amazon. So that would have been maybe 6 and a bit years ago.
Yeah, okay.
I'm 34, so I reckon about 28. Me and Veron's when I was 26, 27, so about 28 years old.
Yeah, okay. So what's that, like 2019-ish?
Yeah.
Just before COVID, all that type of stuff?
The last season we did was the COVID season, and that's when I was selling.
Must have been 2020,
and that was when I was selling the products.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was and we came home early. So yeah, so that's when I started doing the dropshipping before I went to the season. Did the season, it kind of fizzled out a little bit because I found some certain things that got me running ads, was just doing my head in, and I was also still working in a job in a bar, so I was doing 2 jobs.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was would have been that season we came back, and then I went back to plumbing again.
Yeah.
But like Eric came to live with that. The next thing, Eric came to live with us in Gold Coast.
Yeah.
And I'd come home and he's just like there sitting on the couch. He was doing like 1 hour a day and living off Amazon full time.
Yeah.
And I'm doing like 8 to 10 hour days on the tools, chasing poo for a living. And I'd come back and he'd be like, try to like quickly scuffle around, make it look like he's doing something. Cause he felt like he wasn't, sorry, not sort of embarrassed, but he didn't want to make me feel bad that
Yeah.
I'd been working so hard and he'd just been sitting there doing nothing because his business was just working for him.
Yeah. It's
And that was
so
like, seeing
wild.
that was like, fuck, what am I doing?
Yeah. And I think like a lot of people think it's out of reach.
100%.
And it's one of those things where it might have been a little bit of divine timing for you that, just before COVID, you started doing it and you dipped your fingers in, you're like, oh, this is great. And then you kind of had something to sink your teeth into after, especially having someone doing it in such a close proximity and you seeing it every day. Like, you know how online you see people, like ads come up and like realistically all the ads are pretty true. Like what they're saying in the ads are all true. But if you can actually experience someone doing something that's almost unbelievable if you see it
Seeing
online,
it firsthand,
seeing it firsthand, I feel like it's such a game changer.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I was like, if Eric can do it, like I can do this. Like,
Yeah.
I've seen him do this and I've seen him work hard to do it and learn everything. If he can do it, I can do that as well. And
Yeah.
So I just put my head down. That was it. That was the starting.
Yeah.
The Shopify shop fizzled out.
Yeah.
It was probably another year, 6 months. We got back to Australia. We started an Amazon business together.
Yeah.
All three of us. I invested like $8,000 into this is my first Amazon business.
Yeah.
And we were selling, it's funny enough, we were selling jaw tablets to make your jaw better. Do you know there was a craze? It's called Jaw Define.
Oh, yeah,
And we came up with a different version of the tablets and we were selling them in the US.
Yeah, right.
I think we ordered like 1,500. I don't think we even sold all 1,500. That was my first Amazon big bit. $8,000 straight up. We all put money in and like we probably got our money back, but it was like it fizzled pretty quickly and we learned so much from that first because America Amazon is just dog eat dog.
Yeah.
But that was my first Amazon business, selling jaw tablets to make your jaw like chiseled out.
What was it?
Chiseled jaw.
The Chad.
Yeah, the Chad jaw. That's
Giga
literally what it was.
Yeah. That's so fucking so funny.
So that was my entry to Amazon, and like from that point on, I was like, this could be my thing. Like,
that just
I
goes
like
to
this.
like that just goes to show you can fucking sell anything though.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter what it is. Like usually I remember I was looking into it at one stage as well, doing other stuff. Like me and one of my mates started trying to sell Speedos with pictures of dicks on it that we draw on paint and stuff like that. It was hilarious. Like you can sell anything and like something could just pop off because it's comical or like, someone sees something about these jaw tablets and then buys something. Like it doesn't take much to be able to.
And I think like even making money on e-commerce, I think even just doing it, like one of the biggest things is like people just want to do something but they never launch anything.
Yeah.
Like I put $8,000 in. I don't think we even got a lot of money back. We got half our money back. So I lost probably like $4,000, $5,000.
Yeah.
But like how much I learned from doing the whole process was just led us into the next big brand that we've created.
Yeah.
And
got to fail fast, I think.
Yeah.
Like they just keep failing. And
from making a silly product, it was called Jaw Define. And we actually put so much detail. It was actually a cool product. There was market issues and it was too easy to copy. There was so many things that happened that we learned from in the future brands.
Yeah.
And but like it was just, that was the entry. Like if I never did that, I wouldn't be doing this. I probably wouldn't be speaking to you. I'd be probably just plumbing still.
Yeah. And that's so crazy, isn't it? Just like one little thing or seeing one little thing consistently, like just went, you know what? I've got to change. So, but can you explain what Amazon FBA
100%.
is? Like, because I actually don't really know either. So
Amazon obviously is a massive platform.
Yeah.
Like in US, it's I think 4 out of 5, or maybe it's more, like in people in the US have Amazon Prime, which is a membership.
Yeah.
So basically, Amazon is a massive marketplace. You go on there, it's like a Google for products. So you go in there, it's a search engine. You type in water glass, and it gives you all the listings of water glass.
Yeah.
Buy the product. It's at your store at your house within a day, like within a few hours in the US. In Australia now, it's capital cities within a day. But we specifically, there's different types of Amazon. So there's Amazon Arbitrage, there's Amazon FBM, and there's Amazon FBA. So FBA is fulfilled by Amazon. So basically that means we store our products in Amazon's warehouses.
Ah, gotcha.
FBM is fulfilled by merchants. So you have a warehouse, you fulfill it yourself or your own house.
Yep.
And then arbitrage is when you're actually selling other people's products. So
Gotcha.
You're like buying them cheaper and then reselling them, marketing
That's
them.
like the drop shipping type.
Kind of. You're like drop shipping on Amazon. It's still through Amazon though.
Okay.
You're like waiting for sales to happen and then you're relisting it at slightly higher price to make
Gotcha.
money, or you're buying it at discount, selling it for a bit better.
Yeah.
So we stay away from that. So we do FBA because, for one, They do everything for you. So we have our brand, Prodigy X. Prodigy X is our brand. Anyone wants to go check it out, go check it out. It's in the brand that we've been pushing for the last 2.5 years. And actually, I checked the numbers because I thought you might ask. We've done actually $6.5 million in the last 2.5 years selling products on Amazon.
Wild. Yeah. Like, and I was going to lead into that as well.
Never had a warehouse. Like, we've had everything's been stored on Amazon. So like everything product we have, we buy our inventory from China. That's where we get our inventory manufactured, and we ship all our products to Amazon's warehouse.
Yeah.
And then people come on, they look for our ice baths or whatever they want to look for in our optimal health niche, and then they buy it, and then Amazon fulfills it. They pack it up in their warehouse, they send it out, deliver it, and then we get paid. So that's the simplest way to explain Amazon FBAs. We invest in inventory. We create a brand.
Yeah.
We customize it. We put insert cards. We make it look sexy. We then ship all those products into Amazon. It's stored in Amazon. We create a listing, which is what you see when you go onto Amazon.
Yeah.
We dominate the listing page. We stand out, make sure that we stand out over all the other listings.
Yeah.
And then people buy our products, and it's fulfilled by Amazon. Amazon also deals with returns, everything else, customer support. Other than people messaging us occasionally, we cut all the middlemen. So that's why we can be in Bali right now. We don't have to hold any products ourselves. We don't have to ship any products. Like with dropshipping, you might have to ship from another country. It might take a long time, or you might be selling it, like shipping it from your like warehouse or FBM. Like you have to do that manually. Private label do that manually. Where we're doing private label through FBA, which means they do all the work for us.
Yeah.
They take a cut.
Yeah.
But we work out their cut into how much our profit margins are. So if there's no profits, we won't sell that product.
Yeah,
So
and the
we
amount of work
factor that
extra
in.
that you'd have to do.
Yeah.
And I assume the cut is probably fair.
Yeah, so I think like the easiest way to work out like if your product is $100, we go like the basic rule of thumb is like 30% Amazon gets, 30% is on COGS, like the cost of the units and the shipping, 30% is profit, and 10% is left over to do whatever. So that's like a kind of rule of thumb we aim for.
Yeah.
We're always looking for minimal 30% margins, minimal. Doesn't mean we don't get higher than that, but like minimal. We won't really sell much anything that's less than that because you're starting to lose the profit and it's starting to get more expensive, and especially if you're investing in more expensive products.
Yeah. No, definitely. So like, no, that makes heaps of sense. And then I suppose the easiest way for people to kind of get into that type of stuff is probably similar to what you did, like just do a course. Like, because I know you've got a course as well. Yeah. Like you're starting to teach people how to do it as well because
we specialize in Amazon Australia for our academy. So our academy is called Conquer Amazon. If you want to learn about Amazon, come find me on Instagram, Chris_Steffe, and you can reach out there. Just put in, just let me know you saw the podcast and I'll tell you all about it. But yeah, basically, we teach people in Australia because Australia is growing so fast. So Amazon US is the best marketplace to make a lot of money. However, you have to know what you're doing. Like it is intense over there. You have to have a big budget to start off with. You have to go in there understanding how to advertise on Amazon. You have to have your listing right. You have to have everything on point, maybe even external marketing. It's like we sell there, but it's hard. Like it is, you need to have runs on the board. Anyone that asks me why don't go to the US, you have to understand what needs to be done. You have to be the best to go to the US and make good money. Otherwise, you're wasting so much time and you'll lose money. So for beginners, and that's what we teach new people how to sell on Amazon. We specialize in Amazon Australia because it's been around like 8 years now. It's just completely, every year, it's just doubling sales. Like the revenue is crazy. It was the fastest fastest Amazon marketplace to go from $0 to $1 billion in history in Australia. Like, in business in Australia.
Yeah.
So the Australian Amazon marketplace was the fastest business, $0 to $1 billion in Australia. It's just booming. And now, like, you look around in Australia, everyone has Amazon packages. Everyone uses it. 5 years ago, it wasn't the same. It's slowly tapering. Now it's going like parabolically in Australia. It's insane. So we teach people in Australia because there's so much opportunity, but there's also less risk. There's low budget. You start off with, is it $3,000 is like a great number to start off with.
Yeah.
Where US you need like $10,000.
Yeah. Okay.
There's less competition because there's not as much money to be made.
Yeah.
When I say not as much money, it's like there's less revenue.
Yeah.
But there's still enough to be made. Like our Amazon Australia business loan did $500K last year. So that's like a solid amount for an Australian brand.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's so much easier to make mistakes and then correct yourself in Amazon Australia. So for a beginner, like if you want to do something on Amazon, like Australia is the GOAT. We call it the golden retriever of marketplaces because you could run out of stock and come back in 2 weeks later and you won't lose your ranking too much. If you run out of stock in the US, you're back to page 5.
Yeah, right.
And you're probably done for. Or you've got to spend a lot of money on external advertising in Amazon's advertising to get back to number 1. Where in Australia, you run out of stock, it's not a great thing, but you can come back within 1 or 2 days once you get back in stock.
Yeah, gotcha.
So there's like for beginners and for people that are new, it's a really great place to learn.
Yeah, cool. So like you just mentioned like a few numbers there before, like $3,000 is a good place to start. And then like, obviously you've got to pay for a course and all that type of stuff. But like, I'm just trying to think, like, if you were to say to someone or say to me, right, if you have $5,000 in your, like 5,000 Australian, which is what, like 3,500 US or whatever. If you had $5,000 saved up that you could teach them and they would be able to start a business with $5,000, do you reckon? Is that
100%?
Is that fair?
We've had students launch their first products for like $1,000 just to get like the understanding of how it works.
Yeah,
they maybe only started with 30 products.
Yeah, right.
But like they just wanted to get products out there, test the market, and learn the process. It's all about learning the process, because once you've completed, the hardest part on any new career or any like new job or side hustle, whatever, is just learning the full process and then getting to that finish line and then learning from what's happened here and doing it again.
Yeah, gotcha.
So like if you're just doing this and you just can't, you want to find that big home run product, but you never launch anything.
Yeah.
Because you never get there. Oh, like you just think too much about the profit margins here. You just have to get it out there, and then you learn, and then you go back again, or you improve it, or next order. So we teach and we push with our students is that we teach them how to find the products. So we're very selective, and so they can find products that are going to do well.
Yeah.
And then they make it all good. But the idea is that like you can spend as little as you want just to get it tested.
Yeah. Okay.
The ideal number is like 50 to 100 units because you don't want to run out of stock again. But if you want to start with a little bit less money, so you said $5,000, you can do our academy or whatever course or whatever you want to do, spend some money on learning the process and then implement that process with as little as 1,500, 2,000, 3,000. I say 3,000 earlier because that gives you more opportunity with what products you buy.
Yeah, gotcha.
Because if you go really small numbers, it limits what you can sell, and it also limits how many you can buy. So your fees and your cogs might go up. So
like minimum order.
Yeah, minimum orders. It gets more expensive. So your profit margin. So that the actual choice of product is narrowed down because you've narrowed down how much money you can spend. So
yeah, gotcha.
The good thing about Amazon, I guess, is that you don't need to pay that up front. Like you're looking for products, and then you pay manufacturing. It takes 30 days. Then you pay the shipping and the final manufacturing. So once you found a product, it might still take a month or so before you actually pay for it all. Yeah,
okay. What's the time frame, do you reckon, like after like learning or doing the course as well as like maybe doing it with the course type of thing or whatever's going, like how long do you think it would take to start a business?
Yeah, well, we teach our students that if you're doing, say, like 6 to 9 hours a week, you'd be able to get your first product out within 3 months.
That's pretty good.
So like you've got about a month and a half of learning, like and implementing, finding. Once you find a product, manufacturing is only 25 to 30 days.
Yeah.
We get samples as well.
Yeah.
And then shipping, say, another 25 to 30 days. So
yeah.
you've got about a month and a half. So say 3 to 4 months is a good time frame.
Yeah.
Once you've learned everything, found a product, samples, manufactured, shipped.
Yeah.
So that's the slowest part, is having it manufactured and shipped out.
Yeah.
Now they might already have this product already made.
Yeah.
But normally we teach them to customize things, so you're not just a generic product.
Yeah, gotcha.
So it's going to take a little bit extra, like maybe customized boxing, insert cards. That's going to cost a little bit more, and that's going to take some more time. Maybe logo. But if the product's already made, you could probably get it out faster. But normally, 9 times out of 10, it's got to be manufactured.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's 2 months there already.
Yeah, gotcha. Do you think branding, like being a brand instead of just being a drop shipping product,
it's essential. Like that's literally what we teach.
Yeah, okay.
It's our current like a saying, or our formula is the passion to profit formula.
Yeah, a little
so
mantra.
It's like you're finding products that you're passionate about. It doesn't mean you have to be like diehard about it.
Yeah.
But stuff you know about, because then you know the avatar.
Yeah.
So like I like fitness.
Yeah.
I'm in the health and fitness needs. I know what people in the health and fitness needs like. Yeah. What style they want. I create a brand around that because I can relate to it.
Because it's what you would want as well.
Yeah, so we teach people to search for products that they're passionate about. If they like fishing, look for fishing products.
Yeah.
If they like cooking, look for cooking products. It can be anything, but if you know a little bit about that product or like that niche, you're going to know it better. So you find something you're passionate about, and then the next thing is finding demand, making sure that product has demand. So Amazon has to have demand. We're not creating demand like you are when you have a website and you run ads, because you don't have to run meta ads or anything like that.
Yeah, okay.
You're fulfilling demand. So you just have to use like a software like Zonguru or something like Jungle Scout, which rips the data off Amazon. It tells you how many people are buying, how much revenue, search volume.
Gotcha.
So you found something that you like, then you find products in that niche that have demand, and you check the competition, all that sort of stuff. And then the last thing is basically like the profitability. passion to profit. So your profitability, is it profitable? If it's profitable, then you can sell that product.
Yeah.
Low competition, sell that product, trying to find gaps in the market for niches that you understand. And that's how we teach our academy, and that's how we've done our brand Prodigy X.
Yeah.
We found gaps in the market about something we're passionate about, and we've grown our business over the last 2.5 years to, what I said before, 6.5. I only did like that today. I was like, wow, I forgot. I hadn't checked for a while. We had total 6.5 million now, AUD.
Yeah,
it's hectic.
That's fucking awesome. So what is life like? Like after these few epiphanies that you have, these select stages in life, you're now living here in Bali, having a great time. Like I see in your Instagram story every morning, you picture a laptop with the gym pool in the background and stuff like that. So
it's different. So I guess the goal that me and Veronica, my wife, had was that we wanted to be able to live and travel as much as we wanted to. And we first tried the financial freedom and traveling. We went to French Alps early in our business of Amazon, and we were doing a different brand at that stage, and we were also teaching at that stage. We probably hadn't quite had all the structures and our brands and stuff yet, so it was a bit harder, but it was still it was the first taste of working for ourselves and living in France. A bit more expensive as well. And then we went back to the drawing board in Australia, and we went back to Gold Coast a bit, started this current brand, Prodigy X, and that was a huge learning curve because we were doing okay numbers on Amazon, but then we started branching out to US, Canada, Australia, Germany, Europe. So this is a global brand now. So that took another level of learning. So we kind of I had to basically find the next level. So there's the first level of, I'm making some money in sales. I'm making a little bit of money to live and all this. But then there's okay, this is a global brand. We're doing millions of dollars. I need to upskill. So what the lifestyle now is being achieved because we all upskilled. I focused on inventory management, PPC, which is Amazon's advertising, all the back end systems, shipping, everything like that, inventory management. I focus, that's my I love numbers.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's from plumbing, maybe I don't know, maybe getting measurements. I don't know. I like numbers. So I really enjoy that side, how to make more money and how do we make our prices, everything like that. It's little bits and pieces. I took over in the business where Eric, my brother-in-law, he runs the front end, what's the listing look like, what's the products look like. He does that. And then Veronica does more of our academy, but also does a lot of influencer marketing for our brand as well. So we actually kind of separated who does what, and we all upskilled in those areas. And then that's given us the ability to now live wherever because we've got the business firing. And it kind of Bali right now has been, we came here last year for a few months and loved it. This year we weren't even going to come back. And then we're okay, well, where do we what's the lifestyle? Bali has the lifestyle. And then we didn't quite find the right rental apartment in Australia. And rental apartments in Australia, you got to show 2 years rent, bond, all this stuff. And we didn't have the right one because we packed up all our stuff 2 years ago. We've kind of been traveling and drifting for 2 years.
Yeah.
So Steffe, why don't we wait until we find the right apartment? We just live in Bali for 3 or 4 months. And then, saving more money here, doing our stuff. It doesn't matter. Like you said, opening a laptop at the gym, coffee shops, wherever. We can work wherever. And it's beautiful. The lifestyle was created though because I think we upskilled. We upskilled and separated the people in the business.
Yeah.
But for one person just doing a solo one product brand, you can literally do 2 or 3 hours a week and just run one product. We've got 7 products in 4 different countries.
Yeah.
It takes a lot more work, more people. But one person, and one of our students, Troy, his newest product, he did a product originally and then he went back to the drawing board and started a new brand. It's a kitchen brand. And he's just running that by himself. He's doing 50K months.
That
and
is
he was an engineer and he just left his job. He went all in.
Yeah.
He's got his second. He just showed me second products now doing 6 or 7K months. I think his first has dropped down to 40K. So he's still doing roughly 50K a month with his business that he just created from doing one product. Didn't quite go as well. Sold it out of it. And it's no, I want to do something different. Started again.
Because he knows the framework.
He knows the framework and he can see the opportunities faster. Because once you learn the framework, opportunities, bam, 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 you see it.
Yeah.
And left engineering. So he's still living in Australia, but he has the same ambitions of traveling more and doing what we do.
And it's so wild, isn't it, when you think about it? There's probably some people in your life who'll probably know exactly what I'm going into here, but when you're making those 50, 60K months and stuff like that, I'm personally not, and I am still in this mindset a little bit of it's hard to believe. You're I'm making 50K a month. You're fuck off. Are you actually? And it's just when you can help people do it and see them doing it, and I'm not sure how much you're making a month, but I know there's other people I know here in Bali that are just making ridiculous money per month, and it's almost unfathomable until you do it yourself or see it yourself.
Yeah.
Type of thing. And I think being in somewhere like this where 90% of people basically are in that little hub
Yeah.
of making more than 10K a month type of thing.
Yeah, I
It's
think
nuts.
also like numbers are also inflated a lot, and I think like Instagram is very much a massive player in that. Like the last couple of years, like ecom bros and stuff like that really push numbers without actually showing the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
Like we reinvest a lot of our money into our business, and that's
Yeah.
why we've been able to grow and scale it.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that. You can just sell one product and just make the money and take the profits. But we've always wanted to scale the business to sell. So like we've always kept as much money as possible in there. So the money we take home might not be as much as people flash about on Instagram because we're constantly building the brand out. But we've been able to take enough money consistently for the last 2 years to travel all over Europe, Australia, Indonesia, and Thailand. So like that is the true freedom, that our business has been able to pay us to do that. We might not be driving around Lamborghinis yet, but like we're still living the freedom life of traveling all over the world off the money we make from that business.
Yeah.
And that was the true goal. That was my main goal, was to be able to do that.
Yeah. That's so awesome. I think we might end it there because that's the goal, isn't it? Like, you know, that's
the full
freedom.
stop.
That's the full stop. But yeah, no, that was sick, man. That I learned so much from that. So I just want to say thank you very much for coming on. And
good, brother. Absolute
Happy
pleasure,
days.
man. Absolute
Easy.
pleasure.
Easy. Beautiful.
How good.